best-selling author, syndicated radio host, patriot, Steve Quayle joins us for the next 60 minutes. Steve, I know we've covered the basics on the flu, the background, the preparation, the different scenarios that could unfold. You've been doing it since 1996, saying you believe that was the vehicle they were going to use. We saw them setting up the mass graves, the crematoriums, the federal takeover drills, the forced inoculation preparation in December, January, February. So we really got concerned in April when they mobilized and launched the fear-mongering. Is the virus really deadly? Is it the cover for something else? Are they going to have mega deaths like they're saying? Now they're announcing quarantines, forced inoculations, lockdowns. 400,000 troops the Army's announced they want to put on the streets of America. From 4,000 last year to 20,000 in January to 40,000 in April to now 400,000. They're really pulling out all the stops. So I don't want to people understand something's wrong. The question is, will they just use this fear-mongering as the cover for a federal takeover? It's perfect with the flu being worldwide for a global UN takeover to be coupled with an economic collapse in the fall. If we expose their agenda, will they back off and not carry it out? What are the different angles? I want to cover every facet, but first, in the 4 minutes we got before break, just recapping with your intel what we're facing.
Well, first of all, Alex, the 400,000 troops, I caught a lot of flack from people when I said there are that many foreign troops here, meaning NATO troops and other third world countries that have been literally hired by our government for this very position. I'm on record as stating on your show a number of times, 345,000 were told to me by special operations people.
No, you're right. In fact, I forgot. I'm interrupting. You said 3 months ago and then a month ago on this show, 340-something thou, and now they're saying 390-something thou.
You got it. So, and let me share this. The thing that's important, everyone needs to watch the universities and different schools around the country because we're seeing clustering of lockdowns and quarantining, Alex. This is exactly how it was meant to go. Interestingly enough, most of these universities have at least a microbiology department, but it's fascinating that when you do it in a university setting or in a school setting, you have, in essence, a contained group. So if something gets out of the hands of the handlers who have initiated this and intentionally release this flu, then the point is that you've got a very captive audience and you can do what's necessary at the time. I believe that the whole thing that we saw earlier this year, as you and I both were on record stating, this is not the real thing. This is a scare tactic. If you remember, you had me pray, and we prayed. And the bottom line is all the people out there, by the way, Alex, who are praying for your safety right now, and I just got an email saying that you had asked for prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's never been more important than you to keep Alex and his family in your prayers. And I'm telling you this, Alex, this is going for it, but it's going for it in a different way. And this is important for people to understand. The amount of intel coming into me from all my sources of helicopters landing in the desert southwest of the United States, different states, and European and foreign bikers, I'm talking about motorcyclists, usually on BMWs or a foreign bike.
No, that's confirmed in NLE09, troops from 14 countries, FEMA.gov.
You got it, but here's what I'm saying. There are eyewitnesses, and these are credible and multiple sources, claiming that helicopters are landing and that motorcyclists are being given like small containers, if you will, or almost like coolers of something. Now, it's fascinating because I know one of the individuals that pays attention to a lot of my broadcasts, your broadcasts, literally watched it happen, literally encountered some of these gentlemen in a gas station, and all eyes were on the head.
I remember you in February talking about how they were getting ready for the flu and trucks moving around and weird shipments, and here we are.
Right. Well, I think the thing is that we're there now, and so again, this is something that I think is important. Are they going for it? Absolutely. Never miss the chance to utilize a good crisis to bring about the New World Order. But there's something that's happening in the last...
Stay there. Finish up with the motorcycles.
Okay.
When we get back, stay there.
Direct to you and in your face. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
All right, Steve Quayle, recap what your intel's saying they're deploying with motorcyclists. Are they deploying something, or are they receiving a vaccine, or are they...
No, Alex, they're being given the bioagent to release at a coordinated time across the country. Because, look, everybody knows that in the late summer going into the fall, there's a lot of guys that are biking on the roads. But what's fascinating is the ability of the bikers to draw less attention than, let's say, Humvees or dark Denali's or Yukons or Suburbans or whatever. So what is interesting to this, though, is I believe there are multiple strains. This is what people have got to understand. There are multiple strains that have been developed to check all along the efficacy of whatever vectors they're using. Now, what could be more innocuous than people obviously pulling into a gas station or guys going down the road on their bikes with some type of an aerial dispersal thing hooked into a Venturi? And what's interesting to me is we have an eyewitness report of a gentleman who actually confronted, I think there were a group of 6 guys, and one of them was the head guy, all Eastern Europeans, and they basically got very nervous. He also had his 45 tucked into his pants, and when they saw the pants, they all looked at the head, the bikers that weren't the leader looked to the leader for basically his indication of what to do, and he kind of put his hand down like do nothing. So the point is that what I think that people have got to understand is that the clustering. Now, here's what everybody's got to understand. There are specific intel links that go to Kansas University and some of the other universities of specific scientists here that are that have been communicating on high frequency radio, and that they had been, how should I say this, under the cover of a National Institute of Health or National Science Foundation grant program, have been giving tips the fact that, look, they were going to initiate this in the universities and in the schools.
Now, let me stop you. They are now this week having quarantines over people having the flu at universities all over the country to beta test in a controlled area where they just show up and tell the young students you can't leave. The states are passing laws to conform with the executive order that conforms with World Health Organization Level 6 martial law rules. So the point is the safety is off, the trigger is cocked, the tyranny gun is to our head. And yes, we've confirmed and had guests on universities all over the country months ago, and then reports weeks ago, are having National Guard, regular Army doing drills of locking down the universities. So clearly they were drilling to have that be the beta test to show everybody a lockdown so everyone is acclimated. So we see the phasing and the scripting even before April, when all of this started with the emergency managers at the city and county level in Indiana and Illinois and New York on this show, and with the documents, as the feds were saying flu will come this year, millions will die, there will be mass graves, this is not a drill. Now the question is, are they planning to go with a real flu, or will the pathogen be in the shot, or will it be in both to scare people, and some of the vaccines, not in some of the other different releases? We know top virologists have said it is an engineered flu, or is this just the fear-mongering of the flu, the cover to get the Northcom assets and other centralized command systems in other nations in place under the cover of the flu hysteria?
Well, let me say this. It's going to be an integration of the flu to cover the financial disaster that's in the making. And you can't separate the fact that the international elite want to rid the planet of the population. You and I have done years and years of validation and verification of all their different statements. Now we have, in the last 48 hours, China firing a shot across the financial bow, basically saying we won't take any more of America's junk paper, declaring the whole class of financial instruments as derivatives as junk.
And gold is exploding.
Gold is exploding. And why that's critical, Alex, is this. The idea is that America was raped, pillaged, and plundered. And everybody that knows their pirate history will know that after you've raped, pillaged, and plundered, what do? You burn the cities, okay? And what's tragic is that I don't believe people in this country recognize how in the hell, and it's hell, literally the abomination that rises from hell, can we send all our troops to Afghanistan and Iraq, and meanwhile we're importing foreigners, and we're seeing the prepositioning of men and materials all over the country. You remember all the crap I caught when I said there are, 345,000 people in this country, and all of a sudden now it's stated. So how do you get that when the U.S. military is saying we don't have enough men to send over there, but all of a sudden the magic number, 395,000, show up? Well,
NLEO 9, guys, put FEMA up on screen for people at prisonplanet.tv. Radio listener can just Google NLEO 9, and the top link that comes up is FEMA.gov /media/facts/sheets NLEO9.SHTM, and it says troops from foreign countries right there participating in responding to terrorism in the U.S. It's right out in plain view.
I've had, Alex, since you and I did the last show together, that when I was on with you last, I've had multiple law enforcement and military contacts absolutely tell me that they're noticing foreign observers assigned to the Sheriff's Department, the Highway Patrol, State Patrol, whatever you call it. But one of the guys said, Steve, he said, look, I'm XSF, Special Forces. And he said, I know a hitter when I see one. He said, I was one.